The European Union has resolved to sanction General Kaguta Museveni, Moses Kainerugaba, and other serving army officers for engaging in brutality, political persecution, forceful disappearance. In fact, in one of the videos, a European Union member came out to speak these statements. Here's it.
What happened on January 15th in Uganda, the so-called elections, were not an election. They were a military operation, and the facts confirm it. Soldiers, acting on direct government orders, raided the home of opposition leader Bobi Wine, assaulted his family and forced the family into exile. Opposition supporters were arrested, disappeared or were killed, including Mesa Kokelo, who was fatally shot while attending a peaceful rally. We are deeply alarmed by reports that the regime has publicly threatened to kill opposition leader Bobi Wine. All these are not isolated incidents. They are acts of terror which are meant to silence an entire opposition. We call for the immediate and unconditional release of all political prisoners, an end to military trial of civilians, full accountability for the crimes committed, and a real electoral reform. Today, we as European Parliament say clearly, we stand with Bobi Wine, Uganda's opposition and civil society, and all those who risk everything to demand freedom. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear colleague. Mr. Froelich is an author as well.
That is the European Union member. And for me, I've done several videos telling you how such things start. When Mugabe was going to be sanctioned, things were unveiling like this. When Muammar Gaddafi was going to be given a warrant of arrest by International Community Court, this is how it started. Remember, the European Union is one of the biggest entities that has sanctioned wars, that have pulled down leaders, that has stopped wars. When they start discussing about the entity Uganda, just know that the leadership of the country is soon going to go. In part of the resolution, the European Union came out to say EU Parliament votes 14-356, which means that 514 were in agreement, 3 were in disagreement, 56 were not around. On Uganda resolution, action must follow: end military trials of civilians, unconditional release of political prisoners, independent investigation into killing and disappearances, impose targeted sanctions on commanders responsible, restore media freedoms and internet access, accountability, not just statements for crimes since 2021. Words are exhausted, consequences are overdue. That is what the European Parliament came out to say, that one, they must target commanders of the army with targeted sanctions. Okay? They must force Ugandan to stop trying civilians. Okay? And they must continue to put those to the book and end all military trials. So the purpose of this video, I've come to show you what General Museveni and his commanders are facing, what it means for our politics, and most importantly, the study materials you can learn from the politics of our nation. But before I do this, I want to let you know that if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. If you're watching this video from a different platform, please head on to YouTube, type in Sula Mawagari. There's a lot of content of this nature. If geopolitics and economics is what you want, this will be definitely the right channel for you to subscribe to. First of all, the European Union was among the entity that did a catalyst for NATO to attack Libya. I know it was not a good decision. Some of the times these dictators are the reason as to why countries fail, because it reaches a point when a leader is for a leader to go, half of the country must be destroyed because they have broad tentacles and influence across the country. This is where we are right now. General Museveni is an institution. In fact, it's bigger than government institutions like Parliament. Parliament was subjugated. No sane person can come out and tell you that the 2026 general election was free and fair. It was full of brutality, akin to what happened in 2021, where very many people were attacked. Till today, people who were arrested in 2021 are still in jail for 5 years. Okay, we have very many victims of police brutality. Okay, okay, the room for civil actions has reduced. Forceful disappearances, abductions, and for me what pains me is General Museveni used to stand against the same things he's doing. I normally tell people that, tell me one thing that General Museveni fought against that he's not doing, you may fail. And it is so unfortunate. In fact, there's one of the European Parliament member who was so categorical on MUHOOZI's tweets of chest stamping that they killed a lot of people, of always drumming sounds of war. He said these statements.
He was a member of a EU electoral observation mission to Uganda, a country long tormented by oppressive, brutal regimes. Museveni was elected. So many years after, Museveni is still in place, but democracy has been eroded, human rights continue to be violated. I had the opportunity to check the importance and the weight of EU diplomacy on the spot in Uganda. So it summed up with the embassies of the member states, and we're still powerless in order to make the right point to bring about fair, credible elections in Uganda. Insofar, there is something we can do. It's make the case for human rights violated of the leaders of the opposition, so that the European message is still heard in Kampala, in Uganda, in all over the place, that we do care about those leaders of the opposition which are so unfairly prosecuted against. So please, Commissioner, take the message. Action is needed in Uganda, Kampala. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, señor López Aguilar. Mr. Tinkinen said two once.
That is one of the members. You clearly see that they are hell-bent in streamlining the Ugandan politics. For me, what pains me more is some actions by these players, global players, they somehow have a ripple effect on the country. For example, when Zimbabwe was sanctioned, it ended up going in inflation and NTC, yet they were targeting leaders. It is the truth. So time has come for those leading this country to understand that Uganda has ever been here before us. It is here with us and is going to be here before us. All we need to do is build a country that can accommodate all of us, because we are all Ugandans. In fact, let me also add another tape of these European Union members of Parliament.
Allow me to read a social media post, to quote it.
22 NUP terrorists since last week. NUP steht für National Unity.
NUP is the National Unity Platform. That's the opposition party. I continue to quote.
The 23rd is Kabobi. Kabobi steht für Bobby Wine.
Kabobi is Bobby Wine, the leader of the opposition and the candidate for the presidency. That quote is from the son of the president. He's also head of the Ugandan army. The post has now been removed, apparently because they fear an international reaction. I'm in favour of offering money to strengthen democracy. I'm in favour of protecting human rights through our cooperation. But this is completely unfair, what is happening, and I'm waiting for action from the Commission and the Council. The European Parliament is not going to let this go.
My next speaker on behalf of the ESN group is Mr. Siskowski.
Thank you, Chair, ladies and gentlemen. 40 years is a long time, and 40 years ago the world was completely different. Diego Maradona was the best football player. Margaret Thatcher was the ruling person in the UK. Uganda has had the same president all the time. So,
how is it possible that the main opposition candidate, Mr. Bobby Wine, could have been sieged by the military in his house, and his family and his wife assaulted by government forces? All of this to guarantee a seventh term in office of Yoweri Museveni. It is just unacceptable, and Europe cannot accept this. I must thank all the political groups that we have convened and made a consensus about this. This is, of course, not just about Uganda. It's about supporting the hundreds of millions of Africans who seek freedom, who seek the right for their voices to be heard, who seek their fight for progress and dignity, but are not allowed to do so through violence and oppression. For decades, This European Union has been engaging with our African partners to try to support free and fair elections. I have myself participated in electoral observations on the continent, and I'm very much aware of the challenges. But we need to do more. We have the means to do more, because today it is Bobi Wine in Uganda. Last year it was Tundu Lissu in Tanzania. And next year it might be Alberto Costa Jr. in Angola. Opposition leaders are being persecuted, elections are being stolen, and we cannot allow, as Europeans, continually to close our eyes, and especially our governments who are making economical dealings with the government of Uganda. Madam Commissioner, the Council has to hear high voice and the opinion of this Parliament about these very tragic circumstances that are happening in Uganda. Thank you very much.
Señor López Istúriz, my second speaker is another author, Mr. Haidt.
Thank you, Chair. Dear Commissioner, ahead of the elections, Bobi Wine was...
Those are the members of Parliament. So you clearly see that leaders fail to learn from others. The reason as to why Libya is as is right now, it was under an authoritarian, yet it was progressing. Because he was an institution. He failed to build institution to transit beyond him. Now even his children are being killed. The reason as to why Sudan is in this state is because leaders failed to understand that Sudan is going to be here before them. It takes a leader to understand that is not the Alpha and Omega. It takes a leader to understand that is not the last leader to lead that country so that they can engage in a transition. The problem of Uganda has always been transition because we've never gotten one since our independence. And it's upon us to create a better transition. Of course, it's my opinion. I remain yours truly, Mr. Makinde, Kabi Sulaiman Magali. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe, like, and comment so that I can be motivated to do more of such videos. I'll see you on another one. Peace.